Hi, I'm having trouble filming this, but I want to do this today. This is going to be part three of my Making Amends series, and I'm going back to the structure of my first one where I tell 3 stories, apologize, the first one being pretty lighthearted and the last one being the most serious. These are all pertaining to when I was in high school. So let me just start. The first one goes out to a guy who I went to high school with. He was in the grade above me, and it was either in the morning or at lunch, because I would always go to school early and be there for like half an hour before the bell rang and hang out. But I think it was at lunch. Anyways, doesn't matter. And I got into this argument with this guy about the pronunciation of Pokemon. And I was so adamant. I was like, it's Pokemon. It's not Pokemon. And granted, he is like a super fan, like, knows way more than I will ever know about Pokemon. And me and my fucking ignorance, and willful ignorance at that, and also just my freaking audacity, I'm like arguing this kid, and I'm like, in the song it like says Pokemon, and like it's not Pokemon, it's Pokemon, like you're so stupid, why do you think that, like you're not really a fan. And all the while it was me being the fake fan and like the nerd girl. I mean, granted I am a nerd, but yeah, so that was just funny. If you ever see this, I don't even know if you'll remember that, but I am sorry that I was being so annoying and so ignorant. Okay, number 2. This goes out to a girl who I went to school with, and we were in the same grade, and she... where do I start? So we had a few classes together, but we were never like in a lot of classes together, but we were in psychology together, and us and one other girl got put into a group, or maybe we chose each other. I can't remember how it was structured, but basically we had to like do an experiment, like a psychological experiment, and we were doing like surveys. I honestly can't even remember what the survey was about, like what we were trying to draw connections between, but basically like we did surveys in a class in every grade. And when we were doing our grade, this one kid so we were collecting all the papers after they were done being filled out, and this one kid who I had went to school with since the end of elementary school, it was just like the type of guy who, you know, very stereotypical, like makes fun of you or like is mean because he likes you even though it doesn't work, and he was just always such a dickhead. And anyways, so he, like when we were going to collect them, like he said something along the lines of like, oh, like get the pretty one to come get us. And I was like, to this girl, I said her name, I won't say it here, but I was like, can you go get it? As in like, because he was trying to say, like, he was just being such a dickhead, like I was the pretty one out of the 2 of us, and like he was just being a dick. And then I just handled it completely the wrong way and like fed into what he was saying basically, but he was just being a dickhead. So I know it probably rubbed her the wrong way, and she's like ultra feminist and like or was in high school, I don't know about now, but yeah, so I definitely handled that the wrong way, and instantly after I said it, like knew it was the wrong thing. It's like in my first I'm sorry video, how I mentioned just the concept of like there are certain things that you can't really talk about or like apologize for unless you do it like right away. And for me it's like I didn't do it right away because I didn't like really realize, or I didn't like have the opportunity, and I'm just like awkward. So if you ever see this, I'm sorry that I played into the hands of a dickhead and probably made you feel bad or self-conscious, because I don't think you're ugly. I never thought you were ugly. I never thought I was prettier than you. It was just like me being an idiot, which is the case in a lot of these things, hence the previous story. So those are the first two. They're more kind of lighthearted and things that, like, I just feel like an idiot for doing, and I don't necessarily like feel bad about myself for doing those things, more just like, oh, why am I such a dickhead? But this last thing is something that will stick with me forever, and something that I will never forgive myself for, which was the case in my first video, which I apologize for. The last thing is just something that's like unforgivable. Trigger warning for sexual assault and rape, so click off if that's gonna trigger you. So my high school boyfriend, my main high school boyfriend, who I dated up until we were in college, when we first got together, the first time we ever had sex, he was high. He had eaten a weed cookie. I didn't realize like how high he was. He didn't tell me until later. And the whole exchange was like really awkward and uncomfortable, and like I knew it at the time that it was like awkward and uncomfortable, but in my prior sexual encounters with guys, it was like they would leave me if I didn't do stuff with them right away. And so like I guess I just like thought that that's what he would have wanted, but I like pressured him into it. And it wasn't until like a year into our relationship that he told me that he felt that I had raped him. And I still dated him for another year after that. And like honestly, that relationship all in all just was not very good, and I'm not like justifying my actions in that moment, and I will get to the apology, but it wasn't healthy for either of us, that relationship, and he's just generally, before I was ever around and after, a miserable person. And not that I'm not a miserable person, but he's angry, and yeah. Maybe I'll make a video about shit that he said to me and did to me that was abusive. Like, he was abusive towards me, verbally and physically, on occasion. Not very often, like once or twice in the 2 years we dated. But it doesn't and will never justify me raping him. To the movie Monsters, Inc., I might add, which just like, not only did I take his virginity, but I raped him, to the movie Monsters, Inc., which was a funny story until, like, oh, I took a guy's virginity to the movie Monsters, Inc., which, it was a funny story until, obviously, he told me about how he felt. And it sucks because he did hold it over my head for the rest of our relationship, and it's something he would constantly make me feel bad about for the rest of our relationship. And rightfully so, I felt bad about it because it was a bad thing to do, and it doesn't matter that I was 16 and... Was I 15 or 16? I don't remember. I think I might have been 15, and he was my brother's age, so 2 years older than me, like 2.5 years older than me. And I was just doing what I thought was like right, or like doing what I thought it would take to make him stay with me. Yeah, so I doubt he'll ever see this, but if you're watching, you definitely know who you are. And from the bottom of my heart, I'm really sorry I did that to you. And I'm sorry if... apologies are less authentic if you start crying. So okay. From the bottom of my heart, I am sorry that I did that to you, and I'm sorry if it negatively affected relationships you had after we broke up, and if it is still negatively affecting you to this day. And I know that you've told a lot of mutual friends about it and about how you feel, and I'm just really sorry that I raped you and that I am a rapist, because it's fucked up. It's just fucked up. Yeah. So maybe I shouldn't have included the 2 prior stories, but I don't know if I could have talked about this on camera without breaking down, without getting used to it. I guess that's where I'll end this.